talking to people can be a real struggle. And if anyone, should know that. You know, you talk to someone and it doesn't go very well. You go home, you think a lot. If you're an overthinker like I am, you wonder what could I have done differently? So you start to come up with ideas of how you can make a conversation be good next time. So you start to craft lines. I'm gonna say exactly this when this person says this. And when that comes up, then this is what I'm gonna say. Sadly, that doesn't work out that well. And I've been experimenting with a lot of different approaches to conversations, because I've never really found anything that works for me. I thought that I had to find this one thing, this one key that will unlock the door to a life of just effortlessness when it comes to socializing. I don't know how it was for you, but my parents, they tried to help me a ton with this, because we had some kind of gathering or event going on, and I was so scared because there were the people there. The anxiety built up as soon as I heard the plans of something like that, some kind of event. Oh, it's the school year ends. There's gonna be a lot of people there. I'm gonna be forced to like take pictures and that, you know. And because I had this enormous anxiety building up inside of me, my parents naturally tried to talk to me and tell me different things that they knew would help me out. Now, what they told me to do, and the advice I always got, was that I shouldn't have to worry about it. Just be nice, just be kind, smile, and look like you're open for conversations. Just smile and be kind, be nice, and that's it. I'm gonna come back to this a little bit later, because it's actually not too bad of advice. But as I saw it when I heard this, was that, okay, this is the approach I need to take, and this is the persona I need to put on, as being this guy that's okay, I'm nice, I'm kind, I have the smile, okay. Because my problem was that because I put on this persona, no one really took me seriously. I mean, think of it yourself. A guy comes up to you and his way of doing conversation is he's trying to smile as much as possible and just being nice and kind. Like, you need to have some dynamics in a conversation, and that wasn't very natural. And just the thing itself, by just being kind, just being nice, just smiling, it is great advice. And I so wish that would be an easy approach to social events, to social gatherings. I wish that was enough. I wish you could just be this nice, kind person. But that isn't the case. Because as is the case when you're trying to, the nice guy always finishes last. Like, we know that. And that goes for friendships too. That no one's really gonna want to be friends with someone who's just nice and kind. I couldn't for my life figure this out when I went to middle school. That, hey, here I am, I'm nice and kind, I say hello to you every day, yet I'm never seen as a friend by you. That's something that frustrated me. That here I was actually trying, putting effort into this thing, and somebody who just wakes up, goes to school, he's just getting everything served to him. I mean, things like that just annoyed me out of my mind. I thought there was an approach, a key, a something, a master plan that I could apply to my world to make things work. And so seeing these cheaters, we're doing things the easy way. Man, another thing on this school thing is that, based on what I've heard, it's getting tougher. It's getting more hostile with environment in middle school, for example. Like, that's been a trend for every single year. I keep hearing people talk about that from my old middle school. And I keep reading that in the papers, that school environment is getting more hostile. And that's because of a lot of different things that we don't have to talk about now. But the main point here is that you cannot be this nice guy, because that equals being a pushover. You just cannot be him when you're in school. You should be kind, absolutely, but just being this guy who thinks that, okay, if I'm just nice, kind, smile to people, then it's gonna solve things, because it won't. Now, if we go back a little bit, trying to reconnect to the main idea here, how do we talk to people then? How do we connect to them? I thought about this a lot, and I tried so hard to just be so well prepared going into a conversation. As I said previously, I tried to come up with a framework that could help me out. So what I did was that when I was talking to somebody, I tried so hard to come up with something fun or something interesting to say. So what happened was that he was saying something to me, and I was just in my brain trying to focus on, what I'm gonna say next. What's the next thing I can say? And then he said something and I said something back. And you know when you're preparing something to say to someone, because I'm sure you've done it at some point, you focus so much on that and you're so ready. Just put your thing out. Like, you have it in your head, it's gonna sound so good, and you're so ready to say it, so that almost immediately when it finishes, just say the next line. The main problem with this is that it comes off as mechanical. You're some kind of robot who's been programmed. That's NPC behavior. And I know the term NPC gets thrown around a lot on the internet by people who think they know so much. But it describes us perfectly when we're trying to act like this. When we're trying to come up with a plan when we're talking to somebody. In short, it doesn't work. Because when you stand there and trying to come up with the next thing to say, you're not focusing on that person. You're not taking in what he says. You don't care about his message, about his life. You don't care about him. And that he notices. Be so sure about that. Because especially now that I've been trying to improve this, I've become a lot more aware of these things. So when I stand and talk to somebody, I know immediately, the second that he drifts off, or that he wants to leave the conversation, that he thinks of something else. You know, I thought about this. Our parents, when they talked about, just be nice, be kind, smile, they made it sound so simple. So obvious what you should do. Yet that doesn't work, does it? Like I previously said, we cannot just be this pushover nice guy when trying to make friends. Especially not when we're trying to take it further on friendship. But my parents did have a point. That it is simple. That it's too much overthinking. It may not have come off as that. But the main idea, what they're trying to communicate to us, our parents, is that it's just simple. That we care too much about it. Social anxiety has just skyrocketed in recent years. Because we're so much online that when we leave our home, we're so aware of all these things that we see on the internet. So our parents most certainly didn't have the same social anxiety as we have. It wasn't as big of a thing as it is right now. So our parents, when they give us the advice to just smile and just be ourselves or whatever they say, it comes from a generation that they didn't think much about this. They didn't have these, TikToks or whatever, analyzing how people spoke and everything. Because, when you say something to a friend or when you do something funny together, you bet when your friend's got that phone recording for his Snapchat story, you bet he has that phone up. And what do? Well, when we come home that evening after we had fun for a few hours, okay, you open up your phone, you watch the Snapchat story, and what happens in the Snapchat story? You see yourself, you hyperanalyze yourself. So you see, how awkward you seem to stand, and your movements, And you don't look at all like you thought you were. And you look so weird. So your confidence drops. And you become socially anxious next time because you know that there's lots of cameras around. So one, other people are gonna see you in your perceived awkward behavior. And you've also seen your behavior on Snapchat, and it may not have been awkward. It may not have been wrong at all. But just because we're hyper analyzing that, we think that, okay, that's how we act. So now you're gonna be awkward in real life because you're gonna be so aware of yourself every movement you do. Yeah, this goes far beyond my original point, the original idea of this video. It's kind of like a tree you plant and then, oh, you don't know really where the tree is gonna go. Yeah, you can't like, okay, this tree is gonna grow to the maximum amount of this height, but you can't control it. It just grows. That's this topic. So much to be said about it. The main thing that I want to communicate with this is that our parents say this thing that we think is stupid. Just be nice, just smile. But in reality, what they are communicating is that we're overthinking too much. And that in reality, it is simple. It is easy. Because for them, it just happens. It's a conversation that they enter. And we should treat it the same way. So the next time we have a conversation, skip those battle plans. Skip that script you're holding in front of you, trying to read off and present your lines. Just throw that out, skip that. And don't think too much. Because that's the approach, that's what they are trying to say to us, our parents. To just go into a conversation and talk. It's no big deal. And if you think back to your old conversations, like, weren't the best conversations you had the ones that you just randomly enter? With your friends you sat down, like you're not planning to talk about something. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna meet up and we're gonna talk about this one subject to make sure you're prepared. Like a few bullet points. That doesn't happen. The best conversations happen when you just sit down with your friends or a stranger and you drift. And you come across this subject so interesting to all just delve into this topic. To just go in naturally, just approach somebody, just talk. And this is easier said than done, and I certainly need to do this myself because I struggle tremendously with this. So don't think I have high ground over you. This is my biggest struggle on a daily basis. But all this overthinking that we're doing, it leads to no good. By keeping it simple, sure, it may be awkward sometimes. We may encounter that horrific silence. But so what? If we have 100 conversations and every single one of them ends up being awkward, don't you think that the next 100, that the next 100,000 conversations you have are gonna be so good because you put in the reps, because you practice, because you were willing to go out there and just approach people naturally? Because think about that. Even if you get good at preparing conversations, even if you get good at having these scripts in your head, so what? You're never gonna be able to just approach somebody, strike up a conversation, and come off there with a new friendship. But you will learn to do that. We will learn to do that if we practice these natural conversations. And the way we do it is just to get out there, just start the conversation, and take it from there.